So the first question is, how did it feel to receive the Juan Osuna Memorial Award? I think the first feeling was just surprised. I was not expecting it at all. But once I got over the shock, I think it was just gratitude. And just because it felt nice to be recognized for the work that we've been doing, that the entire organization does, but just grateful for a company that allows me to work doing what I love, helping my community, right? And yeah, I think I was overcome with gratitude and just really surprised. Once we got there in the event, and once I got it, I was overcome with a lot of emotion, mainly because I thought of my 6-year-old self. When I came to the United States, when my parents brought me to the United States, I always knew something was different. I didn't know exactly why or what it meant. But I always knew that there was something different that wouldn't allow me to be like the rest of my peers, and that was my being undocumented. And when I turned 9 years old, I made the determination that I wanted to study law, and specifically immigration law. And I took that a lot more serious in middle school and high school. So I think when I received the award physically, I was really kind of thinking back to my 9-year-old self, and kind of giving a little nod to him for planting that seed from such a young age, and having that drive so young. I think 9-year-old me would have been very happy to see me get that award, and it was really rewarding and really emotional. A typical day at the El Paso office. Usually I'll wake up and I have to drive to work, and I know that sounds like a very just like normal task, but it's very different when you're on the border, because you're driving alongside the border, right? And you can see just over the fence where Juarez is. You see lots and lots of CBP trucks, and something that I noticed from the first time that I came to El Paso to work here was that I very often see like a CBP helicopter hovering over a mountain, and it's probably because they've identified someone trying to cross or whatever. After I get here, that took a lot of adjustment. It took me a lot to get over like the anxiety, just being, I only have DACA, so like still being undocumented, like not having that much protection from deportation, like being that close to interactions with CBP or ICE, just personally very anxious. But once I make it to work, everything feels very rigid. You come to the military base, you come to the shelter. There could be thousands of kids. There could be not a lot of kids. It just depends on many factors. We work in military grade tents, and inside those tents, we're expected to deliver legal services and sometimes confidential services. We are definitely in a place that's more remote than a lot of working places. There's a lot of hurdles and obstacles to go against, but the thing that is consistent is the team. There is 15 very passionate individuals that I'm very fortunate to work alongside, who are all here for the same mission, right? And I think Kind has been really good at ensuring that we have the resources and ensuring that we have what we need to be able to do our work. Our day-to-day is going to be, providing minors know your rights presentations, doing short screenings just to make sure they're safe, and also to reinforce the information we gave them through the know your rights presentation, just to make sure they know they need to go to court, things like that. And I think that kind of leads into the next question, which is my favorite part about this work. And it's that we get to be that very first interaction that a minor has with anybody who will be considered a legal service provider, or we get to be that first interaction, the first representation of what an attorney is, of what a legal service provider should do, right? And what they're supposed to do for the minors. We are able to be there to ensure, right, that they know the responsibility of going to court, and emphasize the importance of of keeping up with their legal case and immigration court and their hearings. And I think for me that's just monumental, because there's a lot of information there in this field and in these demographics, like the communities that we work with. Hearsay and community conversations are going to be where a lot of people get the majority of their information before they make the trip, once they get here. And sometimes that information, just like telephone, can get misconstrued. And so I think we play such an important role in being that first interaction that a minor has, because we're able to rectify any incorrect information they may have gotten. And this incorrect information, it's possible that it could be causing anxiety or what have you, but we are able to rectify that information while still really, really planting seeds for the importance of the work that we do and the importance of keeping up with their immigration case. So I think that's really, really rewarding, because we kind of have the ability to put those kids on a trajectory, right? That they may not have been on without their interactions, right? If somebody comes in and all they've been told is, hey, never go to court, right? Like, it's possible that we were able to change that by encouraging somebody to go find and seek an attorney, or by putting them in touch with an attorney at times, right? Being able to fill those gaps is, I think, something that's really, really important in this line of work. What first drew me to work at Kind? I would say that I was first drawn to Kind. I've always been in the immigration law sector since I began my career. And before Kind, I did a lot of work with, families, doing family-based immigration. I did private immigration with employment-based immigration, investment-based immigration. And then I have some work already doing work with unaccompanied children, but that one was short-lived a little bit prior to Kind. And then I took a break from immigration and did family law, which really, really reminded me of my passion in working with protecting children. And I think once I researched Kind and I found Kind, I saw that it was kind of a beautiful mixture of my passion of working with children in need of protection, and also in immigration law. Right, like, I think a lot of the minors that we work with are facing many factors, and one of the biggest factors that becomes their reality is just this uncertainty and this anxiousness, because they don't know what's coming next, right? And I am so familiar with the anxiety that the unknown can bring, right? When you think about being undocumented and your next day is never certain. You don't know what the policy might be the next day, what the administration decides to change. It's very, very nerve-wracking. And I think the only thing that can calm that anxiety for me was receiving direct information, receiving resources. And I think that's why supporting the UCs that we work with, unaccompanied children that we work with every day, is so important to me specifically, because I am helping minors whose anxiety and whose situation I'm very familiar with personally, right? I think it's very helpful to have somebody who understands what you're going through, and not just somebody who hears about what you're going through. I think I've been very, very fortunate, and I know that I'm very privileged to work in this field as someone who is undocumented. It's just become very, very helpful, or very, not helpful, very, very rewarding, right? To know that I can do that for my community. The last thing is a child who has stuck out to me. I think there's lots, but earlier this year, over the summer, I was working in San Diego, and I had just finished delivering a Know Your Rights presentation to a group of about 55 girls. And there was a girl who, during the presentation, we cover short forms of relief. And as part of that, we talk about the T visa, which is a form of relief for survivors of human trafficking. there's more to it, but right, that's like the short version. And usually during that part it's a little more difficult to engage with minors because it's a difficult concept to talk about. And at this point you're in the later part of the presentation, so naturally attention span has kind of dwindled by then, right? The focus on what you're saying. And I still provided the presentation, provided the information about T visas, and at the end we would always the entire team would field any questions that the minors had. And I very specifically remember this girl who came up to me and she said, "You talked about the T visa." And she didn't say it in those words, right? She referenced the part about human trafficking, and I said, "Yes." And she looks at me and just says, "I have no idea who my sponsor is. I don't want to go to him. I'm very scared because I was brought here to be his woman." And at that point I realized I've always known and understood the importance of the work that we do, but when that girl looked at me, I saw fear in her eyes. I saw so much, and she was looking at me. She was looking at Kind for help, and thankfully we were able to connect with the case manager. We were able to avoid that. We took care of the necessary, we did all the formalities, but ultimately that girl did not go to somebody who was going to basically not, where she was going to be in danger. And I think that was really, really impactful. I thought it just stuck with me, and to this day I think about that girl, and I think about the importance of the information we deliver on a daily basis. We give that presentation 3 or 4 times a day, and so it reminds me every single day of why it's important to say it every single time. So I hope that answers all your questions. If it doesn't, please let me know. I know there were some background noises with my computer, so if you need me to re-record or if you need anything else from me, please let me know. Thank you.